Got that kingdom.
Guess I bought that.
Yeah.
I bought last year. I bought this one, yeah.
Well, that's Google though, I mean, you know.
Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Let's call our meeting to order. I'll ask our city attorney, Mr. Ritchie, if you'll lead us in a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand with us, please.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for today. We thank you, God, for the gift of life. We thank you most of all for that finished work at the cross that has put us in right standing with you. We thank you for that grace, God. I ask for your leadership tonight here in this room. I ask that your Holy Spirit would lead and guide us in our thoughts and our decisions and in our actions in all ways so that your will can be accomplished for your people here in this town. It's in Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
John Pitcher.
Here.
Joe Shropshire.
Here.
Dennis Nance.
Here.
Steve Smith.
Here.
Randy Chipwood.
Here.
Jeff Barham. Chris Gambier.
Here.
Lori Seaver.
Here?
Thank you. Petitions from the audience. I did have one petition call in. I don't see them here. We will move on then to item number 3, department head reports. Building inspector, no report. Emergency management, no report. Fire department, recognize Chief BK Young.
Well, we've had October, the fire safety month, so we've been getting to meet with the kiddos and doing all that fun stuff, showing them the station, going and seeing them, so it's been a good month so far. We've got to see quite a few of them. We are in a county fire burn ban right now. They, forestry sent some stuff to the state, because the fire load's out there and everything's dry enough that, I can see probably a state burn ban if we don't start getting some rain, so. We're kind of prepping that. There was a meeting today with some of the emergency management people, and that's what they were discussing, just making sure where the resources are and what everybody's got. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Any questions for me?
Thanks, sir.
Sir?
Golf course, Mr. Dennis Bowman.
Good evening, everyone. Of course, the golf season's kind of winding down now, but we had a very successful United Way tournament. It's the Ivan and Adina Williams United Way tournament. It was very successful. We actually did something unusual this year. We had so many teams, we did an 8 o'clock shotgun and a 1 o'clock shotgun. So that was the only way we could accommodate all of them. And so I know pretty close that they said there's somewhere around $40,000 raised on that one day out there. So they did a wonderful job with it. Upcoming events that we got going, I passed this out to everyone. The Danny Henson Memorial Golf Tournament for the VFW. So that'll be this Saturday. So, if anybody wanting to play, they can still get a team in. It's not too late. That's always a real good tournament. Then we have the next one will be November 4th. It's the Reckless Saints of Nowhere. So they, a good charity that they try to help a lot of the addicted people. So it's going to be their first tournament, their first annual tournament. So then October 28th and 29th and 30th, we have our Pryor Boo-Ha-Ha Festival. So that's coming together really good. We got a lot of people involved on the hay ride, doing the scare and all that. So it's going to be, I think, a lot better than last year. And, but we're still looking for people to do games for the kids. So anybody wanting to do anything to help have some different games for the kids. I know we had a church just come up with a little fishing deal for kids the other day. And we got a little train ride. So we're coming up with some balloon pops and different things. But anybody wanting to help, it's going to be a fun deal. Hopefully the weather's good and we can have a lot of fun things for those kids to come out and do and enjoy the evening. So that's about all I have. Anybody have any questions? Come out
Have you
and
got plenty of volunteers? signing up for the boo-ha-ha.
We always need more. It's
Always
a pretty
need-
big event. We need more.
Council, they always need more.
One day, it's the 28th, 29th, and 30th, or all 3 days, whatever you can do to help, just get with me.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Library. Mrs. Carrie Barrett. Or Mr. Steve Powell.
I didn't know if Steve had a report for me.
I think that was a pretty quick change.
You guys have your statistics with you. They're pretty typical for what we're doing in the Graham Building. And we have one more month of actual numbers for statistics. And then we'll have zeros for the month of November because we're going to be closed. Things are looking good for us as far as opening beginning part of December. The supply chain smiled upon us with our MDP that I have now forgotten what that stands for, but the big electrical thing we were waiting on, it's installed, it's running. It did not smile upon us with the shelving that we ordered, so we'll see when we get those. Push comes to shove, we can open without that shelving. We would just rather have it in place and have everything ready. And the library board will decide what our opening date will be at their November meeting, which probably will be in this building because we will not have any of our buildings open to the public in our November, but they'll make that decision next week at our October board meeting. You guys have any questions for me? Nope, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Parks and Cemetery. No report tonight. Police, Animal Shelter. No report. All right, thank you. Recreation Center, there is no report from Recreation Center tonight. Street Department, recognize Mr. Buddy Glenn.
We're about to wind down off of one of the other projects. We're just about to, got all the sidewalks done up at the library.
Thank you.
Thanks for not reporting on it.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, it's been kind of a tedious deal. Like I said, the main thing is just sometimes it's hard to get concrete because seems like everybody in the world was pouring this year. So sometimes you get something set up, you'd have to wait a whole week before you could actually get concrete. But it's going pretty good. We ought to finish that up. We got another addition onto the front that we're going to start digging out tomorrow and get it set up. And hopefully we can get everything poured by the first of this next week. I know they're talking about rain coming in, but if we can get it done earlier, then we will.
Nice.
Then we've been on our painting and stuff. There's going to be some areas that we're not going to be able to get painted done, striping and things. It's getting to the point where we're starting to get too cold and the paint's not setting up as it should. But like I said, now that we got a place where we can get paint, and like I said, then when it gets warm this next year, school's out. Like I said, now we can come back and finish some other things up. I know there's some that's called, want to know when we're going to do their parking areas and just different things. I told them they're just going to have to just bear with me until we can get it. Like I said, the weather's changing, so our platforms are going to be changing. We got to go on to some other areas. We got our parking blocks in down through there. We're going to start setting them this afternoon, and they give us the wrong anchors. So they're going to, just to make it right, they're going to bring us some tomorrow.
Very good.
So we're going to hopefully we can get started on them. On
You're
painting.
You're talking about the parking on Kauai
Kauai
Street.
Street, correct.
Just right next to the emergency center.
Yes.
Right.
Yep, it's good that being that. And also, yeah, there is one more place. If the weather is supposed to be nice, I think Thursday and Friday, it's supposed to get up in maybe mid-70s. We are going to try to do 9th Street, get the arrows painted on that, and the parking or stopping blocks and everything painted on that. That's our project. And then we're going to come downtown and do the crosswalks. But as cool as it's getting, it takes a little bit longer for it to set up, and people are impatient if you got a section blocked off. So I've got some new nicknames for me. So anyway, so we're gonna kind of go with that. So, but that, then the contractor, he's over on Northeast First and or Southeast First and Road. They come back and redone that intersection, and I believe that once we get some rain, I think we'll be able to see what it's going to do. But we haven't had enough rain for it to do it. But you can step back and look, and I think they've done a good job on it this time. I mean, I think it's really going to work. And other than that, we've had, like I said, a few pieces of equipment not really break down. We've had some parts and stuff that's going out that we've had to replace. I don't think it was as bad as it was last year, but we got a truck that's come up. We got DEF fluid and stuff that we've got to replace some parts on our diesels that's due. But other than that, that's about it. Like I said, I was talking with Randy, if you got anything on for potholes, anything you think is something that needs to be looked at, you know, don't be afraid to call down to the shop and leave a message, name and number and a short message down there. That's, it's one of the things, you know, the last couple of days, we haven't had any calls, but then, you know, for potholes, if you see one somewhere, like I said, we don't go up and down every street. So if you see one, call, and, we'll see what we can do about getting it fixed. So, any questions or suggestions, or, all right?
Thanks so much, buddy. All right, we'll move to item 4, Mayor's Report. And council, if you can refer to the addendum that you have in your packet, and we'll start with that. On the addendum, discussion possible action regarding an expenditure in the amount of $11,665 to Temple Holiday Outdoor Decor for an 18-foot panel Christmas tree from Police Equipment Capital Outlay Account 444455424. This is a partnership with the Pryor Police, Fire, and Pryor Main Street. Pryor Main Street has submitted a grant application to the Hotel Motel Tax Allocation Board for half of the expense. Other bids received, 20-foot Christmas tree from Christmas Lights, et cetera, in the amount of $16,169.20. From Wintergreen Corporation in the amount of $16,967.70. 20-foot Christmas tree from Christmas Designers in the amount of $15,470. Is there a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion Shropshire, second Smith. We have both Main Street and Police Department here to speak to this tonight. Recognize James Williard and Jenny LaFave.
All right, so almost 21 years in law enforcement. If you ever thought I would be up here asking for you to spend $12,000 for a tree, you're be as shocked as I am right now. So, but we are moving downtown to Pryor Main Street, and we're happy to partner with them. You know, we've talked, and Pryor needs something like the cities our size. You know, Clanmore, I've spoke to them, and they pay a lot of money to have a real tree come in every year, and I don't think that's a possibility for us, but I think something like this is a real possibility. We can add to this tree every year. As money allows, we can add to it. This one that we're asking for is the only tree that I can find that is the panel tree like we were wanting. Apparently, when you wait 2 months before Christmas, Christmas trees aren't available in that size, so I don't know. But Jenny has applied for a grant to hopefully pay for half of it, but because of time restrictions, you know, there's only one right now that we know of, and her lights on ceremony is November 17th. And to get that here and kind of going with all the Main Street theme, we wanted to bring this to you. We're not absolutely begging for it, although I think it would be really cool this year to have something extra downtown. So
That really hit it. So, I mean, I'm just here for moral support, I guess.
So which one did you pick?
it's,
I know I've looked at a lot of pictures here, and you've got white lights, you've got colored lights, you've got all this other kind of stuff. Which one were you guys going with?
Jenny told me we were getting the white one, so we got the
Don't you
white
think
one.
that's prettier? I just think the white one's, yeah. So the white lit up tree, and then I also do, just for transparency, the hotel motel application we initially sent in was actually before we got that lower price. And so we applied for the 15,471, and I asked for 8,000, and then for us to raise the other portion of that for matching. I've talked to them and kind of made them aware of the situation, so I'm gonna go back to them with the lower price and ask for half there, or keep it at the 8, and the worst they can say is knock it down. So that's where we're at with that, so.
I have asked other, couple of other people that I thought might be interested in helping with donations, and this late in the year, they don't have money to do that, but, we've got one person that's checking to see if they can, and my thought right now is to try to use that money for the stuff that goes, the extra stuff that goes on the tree. I think it's like $1,200-$1,500. So this is the big one. If we can get it going, then she'll have it here for her ceremony. It'll be over at the Police and Fire Center. And
So where in the center would you plan on placing it?
we met We were talking about like right in front, but it's all gonna come down to measurements. We didn't measure the smaller tree, the 18, we measured for the 20-foot. But it's gonna depend on where the camera sits, if it's gonna be in front of the camera's view. So at that point, we'll move it over to the side a little bit, but we got a plan. She's got a plan. I'm just here for.
Where
So-
the bullards are, where it's like that circle in that, so it acts as a natural barrier for people, you know, not to touch it and things like that. That was the original plan.
Right, okay. And I'm assuming that there's also a plan for storage of the structure after the season is completed.
You volunteered here at City Hall, so we are Christian, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we've got that covered. It breaks down smaller. Funding, we try to think of different options. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the only thing we've come up with to use the drug fund is put like little meth baggies or something on the trees. So otherwise, we can't use some of those funds, so I apologize, but we've tried to figure out what we could.
Good. Questions?
Utility cost, any idea as far as the
I
utility?
don't have a clue.
I did, Claremore, I know that was kind of controversial
Was it?
with their tree. Yeah, but their tree was probably bigger than. Big. Big, and it was a significant amount.
Yeah, oh yeah, you can get like 60,000. We've wanted this for years, but that just hasn't been a possibility. I did talk to someone and they can set it up on a timer, so it's not gonna do anything extra where it comes on, where it's not gonna be all night long. So that can be set on a timer to kind of mitigate extreme costs of those trees. And it is LED, which I believe is a little bit better on.
Oh, yeah, a lot better.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Another thing too, these are coming in 4-foot sections, so if you come up with more money down the road or whatever, you can add to it and just keep it growing, I guess.
Yep.
Just fertilize it, right?
Yeah.
My question is, money's so tight right now, is this a good idea? I love Christmas, but is it a good idea? We're tight.
And I understand that, and we spoke to the mayor about that. We do have some funding, a little bit of funding in our capital outlay is what we're suggesting. Hopefully, we would get this grant, but this is why we wanted to bring it to council, let council make that decision, and we're good one way or the other.
Currently in the police capital outlay, there's $172,400 that's budgeted. We have unexpended about $200,000, which is because of monies that were spent in last year's budget, and we transferred those over. So you've got about $200,000 in that line item. I realize that you have budgeted to spend a significant amount of that in furnishings and things for your police cars and for radios and for furnishings for the building, so.
Sir, but there is a little bit, because we got that grant for 16,000, so we've got a little bit of wiggle room that we had budgeted for that building.
And there's also this, there's also half of this potentially as a grant.
Well, I'm saying that the money that was budgeted in our 22-23 budget I didn't know I was gonna get that grant for the Promethean boards that we accepted from the AG's office a couple months ago. So that money came in this week, so it's all been refunded, so there is a little bit of wiggle room there
Very good.
if the council wishes to do that.
Plus,
Very good.
Main Street hasn't explored fundraising options yet at all either, and so that's something we can always do. Say we didn't get a hotel motel or something like that, so.
Very good. Other comments, questions? Call for vote.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Gantier,
No.
Seaver,
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, James. All right, we'll move to item A in their mayor's report. Discussion and possible action regarding approval of improvements to the sewer system at the Rock and G Animal Shelter. This action requires coordination with Municipal Utility Board sewer construction project that will solve long-standing animal shelter sewer issues by tying the animal shelter to the Municipal Utility Board main sewer extension adjacent to the animal shelter. Excuse me. The work can be accomplished by the contractor currently mobilized, who is Jerry's Excavation Incorporated, with the city's request for a change order. The The change order includes all appurtenances and labor in the amount of $18,350 and in the best interest of the city, and to be expensed from Animal Shelter Capital Outlay Account 44-445-5448. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. Mr. Powell?
Quick, if you have any questions, but until just a few years ago, we didn't have the ability to do this. When the animal shelter was built in this location, there was issues regarding animal hair and how it would be handled. We talked about extending the sewer line at that time to service this site. It was not possible at that time until other activities in that area prompted the Municipal Utility Board to extend what we refer to as the Giles sanitary sewer line to that area. Once the sewer line was adjacent to the animal shelter site, it was clear that the long-term solution to the on-site treatment that was being done there was to eliminate the sprinkler system that follows the septic tank or aerobic system and connect that to the public main. MUB's longstanding policy regarding animal hair and collecting of that and potential of that settling in the public mains was continued to be a problem. And so what we decided to do, the solution to that was to keep the aerobic treatment system in place, but just get rid of the effluent that would come off of there and be sprinkled on the on-site treatment. That is the case here. The septic tank system will stay in place. That system contains a microscreen that collects and keeps that animal hair from getting on through the system. It was specifically designed to remove animal hair. So that will remain in the system. The first opportunity to connect up the sanitary, or this to the Giles sewer was about a year and a half ago when the contractor that was putting in that sewer line, we asked him at least 3 times for a quote to do that work, and at note that we even met out there several times and discussed the scope of what we wanted from him. He never did provide a written quote to us and completed that job and left the job site. So we were left adrift again to find a long-term solution. With the latest extension of the Salt Branch Interceptor Project, we again have a general contractor on site, and he's provided us with a written quote to put this in place and to solve this problem. You may be aware that there are actually 2 septic tank systems associated with the animal shelter. There's one on the west end and there's one on the east end. The one on the west end is the one we're talking about. It's an actual aerobic system complete with the sprinkler system. We're going to eliminate the sprinkler system from that one. The septic tank system on the east end of the animal shelter will continue to be a standard septic tank system with a lateral leach field on it. We can't tie that into the public sewer because it actually has some area drains that are they're outside. So we would be actually potentially introducing rainwater into the public system. So that system will stay in service in its current form. If there's any questions, let me know. This is part of a bigger change order. If the council does not pass this evening, we will reintroduce a change order to MUB for the overall deduct to the project. We had some modifications to the Salt Branch Interceptor project that actually turned into quite a deduct and savings to the utility board for that project by adding some 4-inch line and removing some 15-inch or some 10-inch and some 15-inch line out of that project to fit the field conditions. This add-on still results in approximately $19,000 savings to the utility board as an overall savings. But this part is obviously a cost to the city, but we'll be basically reimbursing the utility board for it.
FYI for council, we do have that item funded in the capital outlay portion of our budget, the 44 fund, and there are funds there to do this. Mr. Powell, could you enlighten us a little more as to the economies of scale We have a contractor there on site.
Oh, absolutely.
And so
The
to give
total
us,
price,
to give us information just that this is a fair price and a fair bid.
right. This is the project that we're talking about is connecting onto this septic tank system. They're going to have to pump that system down so that they can get into it. Original verbal numbers that we got from the first contractor, he didn't put a pencil to it, but the numbers we got from him was around $25,000. We estimated this would cost it between $25,000 and $30,000. So the dollar value we got from this contractor, he originally gave us a number of $21,300, I believe, and we got a $2,000 savings when we alerted him to one of the issues that he had used 8-inch pipe instead of the necessary 4-inch pipe that we want for the service line. So by doing that, we got a better bid from him yet. But so at $18,300, we think this is a very good bid, and we're not paying for mobilization because the contractor's already on the job site. That, he's about completed with the Salt Branch Interceptor project. So if we don't process this pretty quick, he's gonna leave the job site, and then we'd have to pay a plumber or a contractor to come in and pay his mobilization to get in here.
Any questions, any comments?
How much money do we have in that 44, 445, 54, 48?
There's currently $65,000 in that,
Okay.
in that line item.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Any other questions or comments?
Is there anything else coming out of that account that we have on it, on the budget right now?
$65,000 was reserved in there for some modification to structure at the animal shelter.
Okay,
We've been trying to do that work now for the last 2 years.
right,
And we have not found a contractor who wanted to jump in and do that.
okay.
We've kept those monies in there reserved to try to do that work.
Okay,
Just for the record, we're continuing to pursue that. We haven't
Sure.
given up hope on finding somebody that will do the work.
is that the wall coverings and
Yes,
things? Uh-huh.
Yes.
The animal waste
Sure.
has caused the metal building and the metal siding to deteriorate, so we're trying to find a solution. We have a solution to it, we just haven't found a contractor that's willing to go do it.
Okay.
Other questions? Comments? Call for vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Ants,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chiplet,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Seaver. Yes. Petra,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item B, discussion possible action regarding an expenditure in the amount of $3,000 to Hinkle and Associates for an appraisal of the Pryor Creek Police Station at 214 South Mill Street from General Outside Services Account 022015075. Other bids received, Walton Property Service, $3,300, NP Val LLC at $3,500, JLL Valuation and Advisory Services LLC at $4,000.
Motion.
Second.
Motion Gantier, second Chitwood. A few weeks ago, a party came to me and said, I'd like to consider purchasing that property. And so I said, thing to do is for me to get appraisal, and we can proceed from there. So that's the reason why we're doing this at this time. And does anybody have any questions about that?
The other two buildings next to it have already been sold, haven't they?
That I'm not sure.
To the north of it, I believe they have.
To the north, I'm not sure. I know that there were some discussions about it, but I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
So is an appraisal not a typical part of the sale of the property?
Yes, yes.
So the purpose of doing the appraisal,
Purpose of doing the appraisal is to know how much we should try to expect to receive from the sale.
so are we listing the property or?
Not at this time. Not at this time. No, if somebody comes and says, I'd like to consider purchasing it, what would you take for it? You know, and so, we should consider taking fair market value for it, whatever that might be. So to figure that out, we do an appraisal and try to determine what fair market value might be. and then we communicate that to the party who approached me on it. And he would rather his name not be spoken about at this point in time. So. Other questions, comments? Call for vote.
Ham,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 5, City Attorney's Report. We need to go into public hearing. I'd entertain a motion to enter public hearing.
Motion.
Motion Gantier.
Second.
Second Chitwood. Call for vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Hams,
Yes.
Motion carries. This is public hearing regarding appeal of the demolition process at 707 South Adair Street. Mr. Ritchie, would you like to address?
Yes, this is a property that went through dilapidation. It was declared dilapidated. The owner is present, that's Mr. Hurst. We have a buyer for the property that came up and said that they'd like to buy the property and rehab it. And so I met with them to see how that could be done in order to buy it. It can't be in dilapidated process. And so I suggested and told them that if they could come up with an agreement, a signed sales agreement that had a contingency in it, that contingency was contingent upon the dilapidation process being dismissed by the council, that I would certainly recommend that. Mr. Ragsdale is the buyer. The time period for getting the property cleaned up and rehabbed is relatively short time period. I think he said at the outside it might be 6 months to get it, rehabbed. So it's my recommendation that we go ahead and the council dismiss the abatement. And let's let them go ahead and sell the property and let a private developer fix that property up and make it usable.
Council, you have this item in your packet on page 8, if you have not referred to it. This is public hearing. Would anyone like to speak? Mr. Hurst? Mr. Doyle?
I can explain how it got here if we need to. This property's been on file for quite a while for various things. The dilapidation hearing, last we had yet to have anybody appear to any of the hearings for this property. We talked about this last council meeting. If you are a no-show and you don't respond, then I'm left to follow the judgment of the way that the process goes. The house is not currently habitable. If a buyer feels that they can take that and fix that, then my opinion stands as well, that we can warrant them the opportunity to try, contingent on following the schedule for licensing and permits and things, and we do it within a time frame. I will remind you, though, as we go through these, that the judgments are never based on the ownership of the home. It's not based on who owns it. That's, in fact, it's actually irrelevant. The judgments are based on the property and the condition of the property as we look at the health, the safety, and the welfare of the community around it, including neighboring property values, the safety to our law enforcement who have to constantly, for lack of a better word, babysit these properties. And so when nobody shows, we move forward with our 30-60 plan, which is 30 days to remove the property, the structure, and 60 days it has to be cleared and leveled. So that's just where we're at. Given that there was no attendance at any of the hearings, we moved forward with the dilapidation. So on this one, I'll stand behind whatever the council decides. Contingent that the council agrees to kick that back into my care for monitoring, and then we can monitor that for 6 months or however long it takes until that process and that house is done and ready to be lived in. That's all I have.
Just from a legal standpoint, it's not It's not a remand. That doesn't work in this instance. We remanded one back previously for oversight by the hearing officer. In order to make the financing work on this, there can't be a pending demolition. So in this one, what we need to do is dismiss the abatement proceeding. If for some reason it falls through and they can't complete the deal, we can always restart the abatement because the condition of the place wouldn't have changed. So we just issue a new notice and start the abatement proceeding over.
Okay.
So what I need is a dismissal of the abatement.
Would that process work for you?
Yes.
Okay.
With the
We're-
officer.
I'm sorry?
No, I was just thinking, I'm sorry.
We're still in public hearing. Would anybody else like to speak? On behalf? Okay. All right, then I would entertain a motion that we exit public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Gantier and Chitwood. Call for vote?
Chipwood,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Item C, motion carries. Item C, discussion possible action regarding appeal of demolition process at 707 South Adair Street. Mr. Ritchie has recommended that we dismiss the abatement.
I'll make a motion, we dismiss the abatement.
Second.
Motion Gantier, second Smith.
Can I add that we to kick it back as Mr. Doyle said, asked for monitoring, for him to monitor the progress?
You can't.
Oh, that's right, you can't.
You can't at this point,
At this point, that would not be
until
appropriate.
after the financing and I guess or whatever.
That's right,
All right.
after.
There's a motion to dismiss the abatement and a second. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, call for vote.
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item D, we need another motion to enter public
So
hearing.
move.
Second.
Gantier and Chitwood, call for vote.
Seaver,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
All right, we're in public hearing regarding appeal of the demolition process at 1404 Lahoma Street. Mr. Ritchie?
This property became dilapidated. The owner died, and so there was an estate proceeding that had to be done. It's in a trust. We attempted contact numerous times, got no response. Later found out, actually, we didn't find out. We continued to try to notify, and one of the heirs somehow learned of the proceeding and got in contact with us. On this one, they're trying to sell the property. They've been in some discussions with some different people who would buy that property and demolish or rehab it. They don't have a contract yet. And I've told them that, until we have a contract with a buyer that I can talk to that would agree that they're going to demolish or rehab within a given period of time, that we really can't dismiss the proceeding. But I told them that I would be willing to recommend to the council that this one be remanded back to the hearing officer, stay under the hearing officer's control for a period of 60 days to see if they can get that property sold. They've had a couple people interested in it, but they haven't had a contract on it yet. So my position is that my recommendation and position is that we ought to remand this one for review in 60 days by the hearing officer and then bring it back up if we need to. Hopefully they can get a buyer who will rehab it and the city wouldn't have to go in and do it.
The motion is to appeal. Is a remand and an appeal the same?
Well, an appeal is coming to you, asking for you to reverse the hearing officer's decision that it's dilapidated.
Okay,
And so what you're doing is you're just not deciding, and you're remanding it back to the hearing officer for a 60-day period.
okay.
And then we'll see what happens within that 60 days. If they don't get it sold and somebody that'll rehab it, then it'll just proceed with his decision to demolish it, and they could appeal it again, I guess.
Will a remand have the same effect that it would on the last one as far as being able to get a loan?
It's possible, but we don't have a buyer yet.
Okay,
You know,
all
if we
right.
send it back to the hearing officer and they get a buyer and they come to me and say, hey, we've got a contract, but
We'll come
we've got to
back.
get this dismissed, well, then we'd come back in and make
Okay,
the same thing
all
we
right.
did last time.
That's what I was concerned about.
You good with that?
Yeah, I have a question for you too on that.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. G.
I saw pictures of that and I was told that it's still in the same condition. It looks like it's a serious safety issue potentially.
It is definitely-
Especially being close to a school. Could you explain that?
Yeah, so it is absolutely in disrepair and dilapidation. The whole back end of the house, the whole back end of the house is just,
It was on
it's
fire,
just
wasn't it?
charred. There's full open access to the back. There's, walls would be an understatement of what's not there. There's nothing. It sat in just the lawn care and things like that were let go. The shrubbery was overgrown. Again, I'd like to reiterate that when we don't have any showing to the hearings, we move forward. Now, clearly, we were trying to find somebody, but again, up to the last hearing, we had no communication with anybody. And then, you know, as we talked about the health and the safety and welfare of the community, this is 2 houses down from the Lincoln Early Childhood Center. There are such issues as squatters, rodents, things like that. You've got a structure that, you know, heaven forbid some children were to go play after school. If they would find their way in there, it could be harmful, if not fatal.
Do you have a picture we could see?
Is that okay for them to see?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so there's quite a few here, so. Just kind of come on down here. Show you the front of the house. It's well posted, but it's there. Again, this is in April. The greenery is just the back of the house. We've got loose bricks and rocks and windows busted out. And again, there's just there's damage here.
Yeah.
So, and again, being right by the school, we have to be very careful of our.
Sure.
So, if you remember back a few years ago, we had another one right across the street, the same situation. And we wanted to take care to make sure that our children were remembered as that problem.
How long has this one been in the system?
The fire, I believe, was in March of '22. That's the date where the fire truck is in front of the house, so we'll go there. But again, we've not had anybody representing. Again, that's just the back of the house, the back of the property.
Are the owners of the property in town? Are they from out of town, or do we know?
Broken Arrow.
So the one petitioning is from Broken Arrow? Okay.
And I'm assuming, again, they're not here this evening either, so.
Okay.
You know, there's just a lot to consider with this one, and being that it, you know, we've got the already charred materials along with the overgrown property, we need to be really mindful of how long we want to let that stay. And if we want to take a risk to potentially put that back into a cycle of, well, I'll get it fixed up in 6 months, and here we are, nothing's changed, and so, you know, I'll leave that decision up to you guys. But
Their letter of appeal says we're in the process of finding a buyer who is committed to buying and rehabbing the property. So they're in a process. They don't have a buyer, but they're in the process of finding a buyer.
And that could be
6 months.
It could be 2 years before they find somebody that's gonna buy a house that's half burnt out. But again, I still stand by the recommendation, it's dilapidated and needs to be removed.
What's the estimated cost of tearing this down right now?
Do what?
What's the estimated cost of tearing this down right now?
There's bids in here, but I don't know that I'm,
Sure, you can tell.
tell them what bids we have.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Took these off of Cheryl's desk without asking her, but they were right there for me, so. She would have given them to me if we asked. So it looks like we have, let's see. We have a bid for 8,500, 10,450, 7,000, 9490, and 8,000. All of these seem to be somewhat local, Claremore, Pryor. So 10,450 down to 7,000, which is,
7,000 sounds good.
you know,
So in your opinion, Mr. Doyle, do you feel that this house could be rehabbed, or you
No.
think it needs to come down?
I do not. If I were to, I'm not a structural engineer. You throw that vice out there. I'm not going to say my word is doctrine, but I don't see this being one that can be rehabbed.
Would probably be easier sold if it was demolished and then had a lot.
I think they'd have a better luck selling an empty lot on this case.
And then the price of that demolition would go back to whoever
There
buys the
would be
property.
a lien on that.
Okay.
So, and I do believe that we have sufficient funds in the account for that. So shouldn't be a problem if we had to cover that. But
Okay.
that's why those funds were put there.
So just a timeline, the fire happened in March of this last year. This was in a trust, so when was this person made aware that
So I know
this was her problem?
we've had several hearings on it. Two hearings. And Cheryl has been trying to get a hold of Trent. We've been trying to get a hold of somebody. The search process sometimes is a real struggle. We just, you're just fishing for next to kin, fishing for somebody out there. And so when we finally found one, the last hearing, we still hadn't had anybody show or respond.
Did they know the house caught fire?
Yeah, so in the report, it talks about, there's a lot of reports here about that property, and so it talked about leaving, and yes.
So our first contact was from Julie Nefsker. The family, the trustee is out of town. So the person named as a trustee in the trust, I think is in California, maybe. Don't hold me to that. But we received a call from Julie indicating that they had learned that there was a process going on here against this house being dilapidated. And she did whatever she needed to do in order to get the memorandums done and recorded so that we had somebody that we could deal with legally. And so then at the last hearing, I believe it was the first time that we had a representative there. And that's where I had a discussion with them and indicated that, I'd be willing to make that recommendation to the council to give them 60 days to try to get it sold. But, certainly you don't have to follow that recommendation. If you think it needs to come down now, then we proceed.
Excuse me.
But we're not talking about, my representation to them wasn't that this can happen just because I say it has to go to the council. And if the council would allow it 60 days, then they can try to sell it. And if not, then we'll proceed. So.
My biggest concern is, I think it's unsafe, especially being that close to a school. That really concerns me. especially since, in your opinion, the likelihood of rehabbing it or redoing it would be extremely low. So that's my opinion for what it's worth.
I've had complaints from neighbors as well on the property.
And as you go back through the reports and the history on the property, you know, here we've got where Officer Humphreys was 8/16/20, individuals running from what was called an abandoned structure. So it's not that just in March it all of a sudden caught on fire and everybody went away. It's been
sitting there.
It's been empty for a while.
Officer Humphrey, would you like to speak?
I think they've covered everything. I mean,
Okay.
To answer her question on when we first made contact, I made contact with the representative that Mr. Ritchie was talking about. You know, and she had said that she had been paying the taxes for years, and she said at this point, of course, this was back in March or April or so, that was finally found her. And she said, I'm done. She goes out. She was on a trust with a bunch of other family members that nobody else cared about it. Nobody else wanted to help pay. And she just wanted to wash her hands of it.
And there are documents in here that show that in one of the individuals, Mr. Peters in Florida, was served papers on it. So, and he was aware, but I don't believe there was any response to that.
She may be just trying to recoup some of her money, obviously.
Any other questions for me here?
Well, my thought on it is the price of tearing this down is probably not going to make a heck of a lot of difference in the long run between now and when they actually sell it. And it's up to them to recoup the money it's going to cost us, right?
It will cost us. Again, let me remind you, that is why those funds are specifically put in the budget. You know, we have to remember the safety of our city.
And there'll be a lien, like you said, placed against it before they can sell the
Now,
property.
whether they decide to pay that lien or not, that's a whole other story, but the idea is, as a city, you know, the decision was made a couple of years ago, between Mayor Lees, myself, also former Mayor Trammell, that it was that important to us as a city to clean these properties up, and the commitment was there, and I think, you know, we've shown our commitment with over 95 properties abated since 2019. So, we're not, and a lot of those, we have not encumbered the cost of the demolition. We've been able to work with people, the houses, so we've done our best to work with some, but there are those few that we really need to think about safety first.
And once you demolish it and you do have a lien against it, if no action happens on that for a while, does the city end up acquiring the land, the lot?
The city could end up acquiring the land, but that's a fairly long process.
Is it?
Yeah, because it'll go through correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. It'll go through the county. The county will, you know, hold that lien, and then, just like any other property, when those taxes aren't paid, and the, you know, the Grim Reaper comes to collect his money and it's not there, then it'll eventually, through that, you know, long process, go up for bids.
Okay.
So if the grass and weeds grow up and whatnot, you know, then there are fines then that go against the property owner. And then eventually, we go mow it, and so we take that amount, we add to the, you know,
To the lien.
we add to the lien, and it just, you know, it just keeps, it keeps mounting up.
Sure.
So, it's always, in my opinion, it's always best if you have a buyer, to let the property go ahead and sell and change the ownership. This property may or may not have a buyer. It looks like they're trying to find a buyer, but
That might be pretty hard.
but there's a consideration of where it's located and the condition of it, and also the activity that has been on the property that has been unlawful. So.
One last thing. I went inside the house today to double check it.
If you wouldn't mind, thanks.
I did go inside the residence today, not very far, because it didn't feel real safe to go inside very far, but like Zach said, neither one of us are structural engineers, but common sense shows when something's pretty in bad shape. There was many rafters that was burnt all the way to the eave, and I mean crispy. So, I'm not saying nothing, it couldn't be repaired. I mean, you put enough money into anything, you can fix it, I guess. But there is a major beam that runs through there that is a support beam from the fireplace to the south end of the house. It's probably a 2x12, and it is charred pretty good. So that's just my opinion on it. I stand with Zach on this one, that, you know, for safety reasons, unless a buyer can come along and say, hey, I can fix all this pretty quickly.
Do you have an idea of where the fire started, possibly?
It started in the living room. I mean, I'm not a fireman, but, I mean, I talked to the suspect actually, who is a nephew or some relative down the line. It's the owner's sister, you know, there's so many people that, he'd been squatting in there, him and his girlfriend, had a candle or something lit for whatever reason, and
Okay,
the house on fire. He woke up in the living room with the flames.
okay.
I mean,
I thought maybe there might be
Any other questions? Would anyone else like to speak? We're in public hearing. All right. Then I entertain a motion to exit public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Gantier and Chitwood, call for vote.
Pitcher,
Yes.
Shropshire,
no.
Get out of public hearing.
Oh, out of public hearing. Yeah, yes, for that. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm ahead of myself. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item F, discussion possible action regarding appeal of demolition process at 1404 Lahoma Street.
I move we reject the appeal and continue with the demolition process.
What do we vote?
Second.
There's motion, Gantier, to reject
Wait.
the appeal, continue with the abatement process. Could I correct your verbiage there? Continue with the abatement process?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yes.
I was just going by what was there, but
That's
that's
just-
fine. I'm
that's-
okay with changing
That's,
it.
that's the process.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And that's second, Smith. Discussion, comments?
Go over that again.
Yeah.
Reject the appeal and continue with the abatement process. Is that correct, Mr. Ritchie?
Well,
Demolition process?
Demolition.
Okay. Demolition?
Okay.
we're voting on,
Tearing it down.
right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, it's for tearing it down. That's what we're trying to say.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Because the action is to appeal the demolition.
Right, and you could vote no on
You
that.
could vote
and get
no
the
on
same
that, and that would
thing.
be to tear it down.
Correct.
So
That's correct.
Your motion is kind of making it interesting, so, okay.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
See, we stick with the original motion.
Stick with the
Stick to the
original,
motion, you could vote no if you want to tear it down.
stick with the original motion, that would be fine.
Yeah.
All right. Item F, discussion possible action regarding appeal of the demolition process at 1404 Lahoma Street. And Mr. Gantier, Councilor Gantier, would you like to remove your motion?
Question, by removing the motion and putting this, if we say no, that would mean
You're tearing it
it would
down.
continue on.
That's correct.
I'm fine with however it needs to be worded. So,
Alright.
yes, if we need to do that.
When you say vote no, continue on, what do you mean by that?
Continue in the demolition process. No would be no appeal, things would keep
Oh,
on.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you've made the motion on item F.
Right.
And Mr. Smith has seconded the motion.
So a no vote will.
No vote.
Will mean
reject the
tear it
appeal,
down. Mhm.
Okay,
Overrule the appeal,
Mhm.
go with the demolition.
that's fine.
Is everybody clear?
Yes.
Clear as mud.
So no is tearing it down, and yes would be.
Right.
Sustaining the.
Okay, All right, that's fine, we can do that.
Very good.
I abstain. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what I was thinking.
Call for vote.
Shropshire,
No.
Nance,
No.
Smith,
No.
Chipwood,
No.
Gantier,
No.
Seaver,
No.
Giffords.
No.
Noes have it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Doyle. Appreciate your input tonight. Item 6, discussion possible action on consent agenda. A, approved minutes of October 4, 2022 council meeting. B, approved payroll purchase orders through October 28, 2022. C, approved claims for purchase orders through October 18, 2022. D, acknowledge received deficient purchase orders. E, discussion possible action regarding increase of payment for temporary employees at the golf course from $10 per hour as follows. Excuse me. Number 1, temp labor 1, fairway mower, $15 per hour. Number 2, temp labor 2, rough mower, $15 per hour. Number 3, temp labor 3, 4, and 5 at $13 per hour. This proposed increase will amend the budget line item 414155012 from $72,900 to $107,868, and the total golf budget from $678,983.03 to $713,951.03. Present revenue producing trends support this action. Item F, discussion possible action regarding closure of Hogan Street between Brown Place Northeast First Street on Wednesday, October 26, 2022, from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. for the First Baptist Church Annual Trunks of Treats event. Item G, discussion possible action regarding closure of East Graham Avenue from Hogan Street to North Adair Street on November the 11th, 2022 for the annual Veterans Day Parade from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Item H, discussion possible action regarding removal of a portion of the fence at Bobby Buck Park on the east side of the park, 416 foot from the south fence boundary. Excuse me. This is a joint project with Municipal Utility Board and Park Department and has no need of outside funding. Item I, discussion possible action regarding amending the 2022-2023 Pryor Creek Recreation budget to fund the following accounts. Excuse me. Aquatic temp salaries account 848465018 in the amount of $48,000. Swim instructor temp salaries account 848465019 in the amount of $6,000. And floor staff temp fitness salaries account 848485018 in the amount of $35,000. Said funding is a deduction in the Pryor Creek Recreation Center Capital Improvements account 848455413 in the total amount of $89,000. This action clears the error of non-funding of the listed accounts without changing the total of the Pryor Creek Recreation Center 2022-2023 budget. Item J, discussion possible action regarding an expenditure in the amount of $9,672.88 to Dell Technologies for 8 Optiplex 7090 computers for the Pryor Creek Police Department. This is NASPO pricing and was included in the 2022-2023 police equipment capital outlay budget account 444455424. Item K, discussion possible action to authorize the Pryor Creek Police Department to begin the selection process for 3 patrol officers included in the 2022-2023 police budget. Hire dates to be determined by mayor and council. Item L, discussion possible action regarding the approval of donation of 120 hours of sick leave within the Pryor Creek Police Department. Item M, discussion possible action regarding an expenditure in the amount of $3,437.55 to Cardinal Tracking Incorporated for badge RMS BASE system annual software license and customer support renewal package from police technology account 02-215-5260. Item N, discussion possible action regarding expenditure in the amount of $3,250 to Fred Taylor Enterprises Incorporated for 5 Lazy Boy recliners for the Pryor Creek Fire Department from bids received. to be paid from Fire Department Donations Account 96-965-5543. Other bids received, Fire Station, $3,249.95, does not include shipping cost. Lazy Boy, direct, $6,395. Item O, discussion possible action regarding transfer of $150,000 from capital outlay Fire Department account 444455422 to Fire Truck Reserve account 4555412 for purchasing a fire engine. Item P, discussion possible action regarding acceptance of a grant from E-rate for fiscal year 2022, that's beginning 2022, in the amount of $3,413.11 from for the Thomas J. Harrison Public Library. This is the consent agenda. Which items would council like to remove?
I want E.
Number.
Paul.
Okay, E.
Paul.
Oh, P. Papa?
I'd like E,
Papa? Echo?
Echo, Kangaroo, Llama, and Orphan. So K, L, and O.
Kilo, Llama, and Oscar. Also, item Hotel.
So you said P, and what was the other one?
Okay, the items you have requested, item Echo, item Hotel, item Kilo, item Lima, item Oscar, and item Papa. Are there others? Can I entertain a motion to
So moved.
approve all the items that were not removed? Motion, Gantier.
Second.
Second, Chipwood. Call for vote.
Amos,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes. Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item Echo, discussion possible action regarding increase of payment for temporary employees at the golf course from $10 per hour as follows. One, temporary labor, there's one of those fairway mower. He's a fairway mower at $15 per hour. Number two, temporary labor, two, the rough mower at $15 per hour. Number three, temporary labor, 3, 4, and 5 at $13 per hour. This proposed increase will amend the budget line item 414155012 from $72,000 to $107,868, and the total golf budget from $678,983.03 to $713,951.03. Present revenue producing trends support this action. Is there a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion's Chitwood, second Smith. Discussion.
I have a question and a comment. What does the temp labor 3, 4, and 5 entail? What do they do? What is that?
Is Mr. Bowman here? Those on the Budget Personnel Committee.
Well, basically what we have figured out here was all of these people are not gonna work all year. And we figured out there was kind of a graph there that showed that during the summer months, all of them would be working, but most of the time, there won't be that many people working. When the grass is not growing and things like that's going on. But you've got people that are going around weed eating, you've got people that are going around, picking up brush, doing all kinds of different stuff that aren't just mower people. And we looked at it, and it looked like it was going to be about a $30,000 difference per year that they were going to pay out of the golf course.
So the temp labor 3, 4, and 5, you would think would be like the weed eater
Yeah.
people,
Yeah, because the other two guys was the fairway mower and the rough mower.
Also on page 14 of your packet, there's a graph there that's been supplied for you. And so it says, you've got labor 1, labor 2, labor 3, labor 4, labor 5, and you can see the months of the year that they perhaps would be working.
We also talked about the fairway mower and the rough mower are very expensive pieces of equipment. And you certainly want somebody that's gonna be qualified or.
Experienced.
You really don't want to throw somebody on there to tear them up.
Right.
And if you look around, you can, those wages are pretty typical of what you can get as general laborers anywhere around right now, the way things are going, if you can get somebody to work for that.
And you, you perhaps could call that Fairway and the Roughmore, you could call those semi-skilled labor as well, taking care of that equipment.
Is this increase coming from the revenues they're gonna bring in, or just gonna come out of city?
No, this comes from the golf revenue.
Golf, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, none of this comes from city revenues, just from the golf revenues.
No, and he explained because they are so busy, that's why they're needing the temp help. I mean,
Yes.
obviously, some of their full-time employees can do that, but they're so busy, they're being asked to do other things.
To date, golf has, they have $149,906.68 in the bank right now. This past month, they were $14,893 net revenue over expenditures this past month.
And they did raise their rates and stuff too.
Yes.
So
Has
they
that
are,
affected their
Have the memberships dropped off?
memberships, people coming out? Is it still holding fairly steady?
It is, it's holding,
I mean, I know it's gonna drop this time of year.
yeah, but it is holding steady, and, yeah. So I apologize, Mr. Owen's not here to speak to that. Any other comments, questions? Call for vote, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Shropshire,
yes.
Ames.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item H, hotel. Discussion possible action regarding removal of portion of the fence at Bobby Buck Park on the east side of the park, 416 foot from the south fence boundary. This is a joint project with the Municipal Utility Board and Park Department and has no need of outside funding. Is there a motion?
Second.
I'm sorry, who motioned? Gantier motion, second Chitwood. Discussion.
I asked this one to be pulled off. I just want to know why we need to, I mean, I guess it's not going to cost us anything city-wide, other than employee hours, but why does this fence need to come down?
It is in great disrepair.
Is
It
I haven't been over
is
there in a while.
really not serving a purpose. There's also much growth that has grown up in it. The fence is on city property, so we have the responsibility to
So it'd just
maintain
be
that
easier
fence.
to mow the whole property with that fence out. of the way.
Yes, and the reason Municipal Utility Board's involved in it is because they have some power lines. They also have poles that they're wanting to adjust, and so they volunteered to come alongside with our Parks Department to get the work done.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Any other comments or questions? Call for vote?
Chipwood,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Ames.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item K, discussion possible action to authorize Pryor Creek Police Department to begin selection process for 3 patrol officers included in the 2022-2023 police budget. Hire dates will be determined by mayor and city council. Is there a motion?
Motion.
I'll second.
Motion, was that Ketcher? No, that was Shropshire, and second Chitwood. Discussion.
We need to clear up what we were talking about the other night,
Okay?
about the amount of monies that we were in the red and and where we're at now. That was a big, part of that conversation.
That was part of that conversation. If you'd like me to address that, I'd be very happy to.
I would
I'd be
appreciate it.
very, very happy to address that. Let me go to a few notes I anticipated. Yeah, I anticipated. So, the city's not in the red. The budget is, the general fund budget is in the red.
Right.
So we have this reporting budget item, which I pay real close attention to. It's called net revenue over expenditures, okay? And each one of our budget items has that component at the end of that budget, and you've seen that.
Yes.
So, in the practice of watching the budget expenditures against revenues, that fuel those expenditures, I evaluate all of our funds with looking at that item. So this time of the fiscal year, our general fund is stressed due to scheduled insurance payments, to departments wanting to spend budget monies before revenues actually catch up during the year. We have observed this trend through the mid-year review for the past few years, especially in the general fund budget. I'm watching our revenues and expenditures as normal, and I'm confident that our system of checks and balances, they keep us on track. They keep us on track. They keep all of us accountable, and they keep us on track.
Sure.
And those practices have guarded our operating funds for many years. It wasn't me that started that. That was started way before I got here. But the general fund at this time of the year is almost always going to show in the red. Sometimes that'll fluctuate from, it might fluctuate from $100,000 to up over $700,000. And when it does, the reason it does is because we have unusual expenses toward the first of our fiscal year, which are insurance, property insurance payments, those types of things. We also had a $50,000 request from EDTA, which came out of our general fund that we approved to send it over to the EDTA fund. And I feel very confident that this action is appropriate. And the reason I do is because 3 patrol officers were included in that budget. We did approve that. Budget personnel approved it, city council approved it, and police department had the wisdom to, before bringing it to council, bring it to budget personnel so that it could be discussed.
But we're not looking at being as far in the red as we thought we were during.
Yeah,
the budget
explain
meeting.
that. I think that's what he's trying to
Yeah,
get to.
the difference in the 750,000 and the 149,000.
Yeah, so so the 700-some thousand, that was whatever it was. I took that from a October 31st.
Right.
I took that from an October 31st report.
That hadn't been.
Okay, so I got that report real quickly, and so I started making the presentation and doing the numbers, and I came and gave a report from an October 31st report, which did not have all the revenues reported in it.
Right. So we're really at about 149.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the point I wanted to get across.
Yeah.
A lot better shape than what we thought at first.
So the general fund, yes, it's about $149,000 in under net revenues.
Which is normal for this time of year.
It is normal for this time of the year, and it'll run from, it'll run that kind of that range. It'll run that kind of that range. So we have seen it up over $700,000. But the reason why is because we have a new budget year, and we have departments who need to fulfill their needs, and so because it's budgeted, then they go ahead and they try to do those expenses, make those expenses. The city is not in the red at all.
Right.
The city is in good shape. But that budget which we try to operate from, that's one of the components that I look at each week, sometimes each day, depending on what our activity is. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and I'm happy to make that.
I wasn't wanting to bring anything up. I just want to clear some stuff up that's been batted around a while.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion or questions about that item?
I'm still of the opinion that our budget's too tight for adding on extra expenses. It's not that I don't believe we could use them. I believe in law enforcement. I believe in the fire department. I'm concerned we're biting off more than we can chew at the moment.
So one thing we talked about was what we would be voting on is authorizing them to begin the selection process. And we're not hiring at this point. It's a long process. It takes weeks, it takes months. Just the process to begin is all this item.
Mr. Williard?
I wasn't here for the budget, so I don't know exactly what Chief said. He's been here longer than me, so I'm sure he covered it all. But I presented you guys with some stuff that we're looking at on why we're needing these officers. The only thing that I did not include was the budget side of it. So, I have those figures here and I want to give that to you. The 3 officers that you guys have let us hire that have backfilled the positions that we have been down, will start, I think 2 of them starts next week and 1 of them starts the week after. That alone saved this budget around $60,000 for this year because we waited to fill those positions. The 3 officers that we're asking to hire now will be an additional $100,000 if we start them January 1 or after. So we're looking at even if the money that has been budgeted, $60,000, that will still be saved out of our budget if we're allowed to hire January 1 or after.
You said 100,000, is that salary?
Yes, sir.
Does that count the benefits and everything else that
Yes,
goes
sir.
along with it?
Off of, that was what were presented by Lisa Malone they figured their budget numbers off of.
Another part of the discussion was if we had more officers, maybe the overtime hours would go down.
That's the hope. I mean, we're just busy. We're shorthanded. You know, we're trying to do all we can. So yes, ma'am, that is the goal.
And another thing Chief Nichols says is, he said the other night, we was talking about how much you serve the community. We have the music events, they want representation. We have the golf course event. You know, there's so many events going on in town, asking for the police to be there, so.
We can't keep up. I mean, that's a lot of the problem between, you know, we had an officer get hurt trying to arrest somebody, got in a fight, he's been out. We can't keep up with all the asking. So that is part of the reason for this. Yes, ma'am.
And another one was for the increase in your physical, I mean, you're going all the way to the district now.
Correct.
And how far north?
All the way out to,
Airport Road.
All the way out to Airport Road.
yes, sir.
Kind of his justification for again needing more officers.
And a lot of it, you know, we have 2 goals as administration, as a council, is to protect the citizens and protect those officers. And we need both right now because our manpower compared to other cities is not there. And we're getting officers hurt. And, you know, obviously the crime has gone up. So we need to do what we can.
So we're kind of a unique city, and we all know this. We have upwards to 25,000 vehicles coming down Highway 69 every day. We have upwards to 4,500 people in Mid-America Industrial Park who are going different directions, coming in and coming out, that may or may not be, may not live in the city of Pryor. The requests that come into PD for a presence and the way that they respond, I think is a testament to the safety that we have in our community. So, yes, we are operating with a budget. Yes, the budget is a little tighter this year than perhaps it has been. But as Mr. Williard has explained, these officers that were budgeted for an expense for the whole year, I mean, we're just now trying to bring them on. So it may be 2, maybe 3 months before they come on. Maybe they all don't come on at once, but at least we know where we're shorthanded and we're addressing that issue. Your numbers are well taken. In the officers that we have brought on actually has saved us money in our budget.
Yes, sir.
So, comments, questions? Call for vote.
Gantier,
No.
Seaver,
Yes.
Pitcher,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood.
Yes. Motion carries. Item L, discussion possible action regarding the approval of donation of 120 hours of sick leave within the Pryor Creek Police Department. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Chitwood, second Smith. When there's a need in the police department, now, someone in the police department correct me if I speak out of turn here. When there's a need, we have, they have within their prerogative to take 40 hours of sick leave time and make that donation and do that privately, and there's not, council doesn't ever hear about it. When there's a request for more, then it does come to council. It does come to council. We have a definite need within the police department. Police officers have stepped up and said, we recognize that need. We'd like to contribute our sick leave hours to this particular need of one of the officers. Am I speaking correctly?
Yes, sir, and this is per their contract.
Yes.
Agreement with the city, it says that they're allowed to do so. We're just bringing that to the council for approval.
Yes, they're allowed to do so, but they're not allowed to do so without council approval, and that's the reason why it's coming to council.
Was this the officer that's on extended medical leave?
No, sir.
Okay.
And the reason we don't have names on here because of HIPAA,
No.
HIPAA rules,
Yeah,
it's
you won't do
not
that.
appropriate. So-
Well, and the fact that you can donate this to anybody, right, on the force?
I'm sorry,
You can donate this,
what's being asked for is for a certain officer.
oh, it's actually for
It's
certain
actually,
officers.
yes, for certain
There
officers.
is a request for that time, for an officer that needs.
But in general, you can give it to anybody that requests it under this certain amount or so.
Under the CBA, they can, if needed, yes, under the 40 hours. Anything over 40 hours needs to come to council. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Because I've seen where I work that it would be nice that people could donate. We got people where, I'm retired, but we've had people out there that don't take vacation. And as a matter of fact, they work more overtime than anybody else. So in that respect, I'm assuming that you have officers that are willing to give up possibly comp time because they will never use it.
And this is the sick time that they're requesting. But yes, sir, as you're saying, we have officers with extra time that they have accumulated that are willing to give to another officer that needs it.
So the collective bargaining agreement does make definition about that. And our policies also make definition saying that anything over 40 hours comes to council for.
Have to be approved.
Other questions or comments? Call for vote?
Seaver. Yes. Ketchum.
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes.
Nam.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Chipwood.
Yes.
Gantier.
Yes.
Item O, discussion possible action regarding transfer of $150,000 from capital outlay fire department account 444455422 to fire truck reserve account 454555412 for purchasing a fire engine. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Ketcher, second
I second it.
Smith.
Yeah, that's fine.
Discussion.
I have a question. Are y'all currently looking at a particular engine?
No, sir, the one that we're having built right now, it cost us $737,735. So we're just preparing, I mean, if we do 150, say, we'll be at 800,000 in, say, 5 years. So we're just starting to build that, what we call Fund 45, or the Reserve Fire Truck Fund. So, no, I mean, yeah, I'm a fire chief, so I'm always looking at fire trucks and, kicking the tires and saying, I want one of these and 2 of those. So, yeah, I'm always looking, and not only just for that, just kind of know what the prices are and what we need to prepare for down the road. Currently, we've got an 05, an 07, and a 14 are our engines. Our ladder truck's a 1998. The boys do a really good job of keeping them clean. That kind of stems from Chief Harrison and Chief Thompson. Has kind of been beat into us ever since we've been on the force to keep them up, because we run them a lot longer than most people do. Usually 10 years, they're cycling engines out. And so we're really pushing our trucks. So all that is just kind of preparing. We have the county fire money, and we do the same thing with it. We've got an account that we set so much aside every year for it, just to prepare for fire truck purchase.
The only reason I brought it up, my son-in-law, they moved to Louisiana, and he works for the one in Holden.
For our,
And I just was trying to make sure that wasn't something that,
Yeah.
that way I'd have to make sure it was disclosed. He's not,
Okay.
he's not in sales or anything, but I just didn't wanna,
Yeah, no, we currently in our fleet, we have 2 Pryor fire apparatus.
they got good stuff, but
They-
I just didn't want it to be coming in and I don't disclose
Yeah.
something. That's all.
No, this is just our fire truck saving account. So-
This has been going on for years.
Yeah, we had
Yes,
money
sir.
every year.
Right, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't something that,
Yeah,
I didn't
no.
disclose something, I just wanted to.
No, I mean, if y'all wanna throw more money in there, I've got one. That I can go pick up tomorrow.
Thank you, Chief
but-
Young, appreciate it.
No, that's all that is, yes, sir.
On the thoughts along that same line, it's gonna be short enough to fit in the building, right?
Yes, yeah, we should be able to get it.
Let's not go there, please.
No, it'll be good to go, but yeah, this is just preparing for down the road.
It's good practice.
Yes, sir.
It's good practice. Other comments, questions? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Call for vote.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Montague,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item P, discussion possible action regarding acceptance of grant from E-rate for fiscal year 2022, starting in the amount of $3,413.11 for the Thomas J. Harrison Public Library. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Chipwood, second Smith. Discussion.
A question, the account it's going into, is this going into the grants account or the
So it should go, well,
like,
first I need to clarify, it's not a grant from E-rate, it's a grant from the Oklahoma Department of Libraries. And what this is for, way back in March, you guys approved us accepting the E-rate grant from the federal government, the state, and then we were gonna pay $3,413.11 out of capital outlay. So it should go into the capital outlay account.
okay.
But what this means is, the Oklahoma Department of Library is giving us money so that all of our data wiring and all of our switch updates and all of that stuff for our building is at no cost to the city. Which was just a whole bunch of money, that we did not have to spend. So, yeah, so it'll go into capital outlay account 4444554416.
Thank you.
And the total of that project was $17,240.97. So,
Very good. Any other comments, questions? Good work.
thanks.
Thanks for getting the grants.
Need to show the agenda item corrected for the Oklahoma Department of Libraries grant.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Need to show that correction as a scrivener's error and amend your motion accordingly.
Okay. Who made the motion?
I amend my motion.
Okay.
Scrivener's error for Oklahoma Department
Second.
Oklahoma Department of
of
Libraries.
Libraries. Yeah.
And Mr. Smith amends his second. Also, we should, if we're making that amendment, we should also put that account number on the motion.
So moved.
It's 44445, which one?
5416.
5416. Eva, did you get all that down? Okay. Any other comments or questions? Call for vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipwood,
Yes.
Montague,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 7, committee reports, budget personnel, Mr. Shropshire.
What's the 8th of November, I believe?
Very good. Item B, ordinance insurance, Mr. Shropshire.
I think it's the 10th, isn't it? What?
If it's that same week, it would be the
10.
Was it the 3rd? Okay, it's the 3rd, yeah, okay.
Thank you, Kimmy.
She keeps me in line, that's right.
Yeah, 3rd and 10th is next.
3rd and
following
10th.
Tuesday.
Okay.
November the 3rd.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
3
you.
November.
I
Very good.
stand corrected.
Item C, Mr. Smith, streets.
Got meeting scheduled for next week, but right now I have no agenda.
All right,
You said next week?
Yep.
yes, next week.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yes, sir. All right.
You got an agenda item, get it to Darla.
Okay.
Item 8, unforeseeable business. I know of none. Adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
That would be Ketcher and Smith. Call for vote.
Vance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipper,
Yes.
Dumpy,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Motion carries. We'll call Public Works Authority to order. Item 2, approval of minutes, October 4, 2022 meeting.
Motion. Second.
Motion, Chitwood, second Smith. Call for vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Chipper,
Yes.
Dumpy,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Vance,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 3, unforeseeable business, know of none. Item 4.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There is a motion Ketcher to adjourn, second by Smith. Call for vote.
Chipper,
Yes.
Dumpy,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Ketchum,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Vance,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.